Another Las Vegas. Down, down. There we go. There it is. Ending the day here, finally.
Oh my God.
After 1 million episodes.
Seems like.
This and one more. Hey. Welcome to another episode of This Our Normal Podcast. I am your host, Saul Jones. I'm sitting here as always with my audio engineer, Joel Cowan.
Hey, guys.
And my co-host, Brian Hoodie.
That's me. Don't call me Sweatshirt.
You're an asshole.
Don't do it.
And then my guest for this episode, oh my gosh, this is a special guest for me. She was my case manager while I was at Solutions Recovery. She helped me get sober and helped me keep my job while I was in treatment, which was very important to me. It is Elizabeth. Elizabeth, what's your last name?
Kelly.
Oh, that's right. Elizabeth Kelly. Number 5, as I like to call her. Say hello.
Hello.
Real quick, before we get started, I want to remind everybody, go to our website at thisournormalpodcast.com. Everything you need to know about us is on there. Links to Google Play, iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, all that good stuff. You guys know the deal. Main thing is, once again, thank you to everybody who's gone to iTunes, hit subscribe, and most importantly, left us a 5-star rating and comment on there. It means the absolute world to us. We read them all, and they're touching. Thank you so much. As always, This Our Normal Podcast is brought to you by Serenity Sober Living Housing down in Orange County, South Orange County. If you need sober living men's and women's starting in August, we have it available there. We highly recommend this place. And if you come down right now, I'll be your house manager. You get to live with me. Buddy. Well. Thank you so much. All right. I stop it at the worst spot. That beat, by the way, is brought to you by Joel Cowan. He made that beat.
Thank you.
The Cowanator.
Put some time into that.
Cowanator 5000.
So, number 5.
Yes, sir.
So, she got that nickname. Let me tell you a little bit of that nickname. There were case manager offices at Solutions Recovery. There was, how many case manager offices were there? There was a lot.
8.
8 of them. And she was the 5th in the row there. So, I called her number 5. She was my number 5. So, how you doing? What's going on?
I'm good. You know, just helping out where I can, getting the word out and helping people that are struggling.
Definitely. You do a great job of that, by the way.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, things aren't always easy being a case manager, I would imagine.
No, sir.
Especially when you have to deal with little jerks like myself.
I can only imagine what you went through with him.
Oh, it's been a blast.
How is Vegas, by the way, without me there? It's got to be missing something,
it's
right?
not quite as eventful, but Hoodie might be right about that.
So there was a time, I've talked about it multiple times on here, where I had my relapse, and Elizabeth was the first stop on the list there after I relapsed, after they've drug tested me and everything, the first stop on what are we going to do about it, you know? And a lot of the times, especially if you relapse on heroin, that is, you are gonzo, because safety reasons, you know, heroin can kill. And yes. Elizabeth fought tooth and nail to get me to stay there. She was able to, she went and fought with everybody. So you not fought with everybody, but fought for me, right?
Yes.
You want to talk a little bit about that?
I did. I advocated for you because
Yes,
they said they weren't sure if you should be there. You'd been there quite a long time, and they said maybe it's a little too comfortable for Mr. Saul. Maybe it's time he move on. And I said, you know what? I think he's still got some more time and some more good he can do. We need to get him back.
Thank you.
So I advocated with those people. Yeah. And I came up with what I thought was a great plan.
Turned out to be the greatest of plans, by the way.
But somebody didn't think it was such a great plan. Yeah. His name is Saul.
So I get the wonderful news of, hey, we have a gift for you. It's more treatment time. You're not supposed to get this. You're supposed to be gonzo. But, you know, I went and fought, and she's telling me, I fought for you. I got you more treatment time. They're going to let you stay and all this. And I threw a tantrum. I was like, more treatment time? How dare you? I have this down. I'm cured, you know?
Right.
And I sat in her office, and I was such a punk. I am so sorry, Elizabeth, for how I acted.
It's all good.
And she's like, she's thinking, I just fought for this kid, and now he's throwing it in my face. Yeah.
Well, you weren't the first, and you won't be the last. I'm sure
That's
she's used to dealing with
right.
it. But.
Yeah.
I did end up in the end. I said, let me sleep on. Or she goes, why don't you sleep on it? I said, of course I'm gonna sleep on it. I don't do anything.
And that's exactly how he said it.
I don't do anything impulsively other than heroin just a minute ago.
And apparently, according to the drug test, meth, coke,
Everything.
benzos, barbiturates, and whatever else was in there. So, okay, as you're not an addict yourself. One of the rare people we have on here that aren't addicts.
Correct.
Which is but you still have the passion for working in recovery. Where did that passion come from?
Came from the fact that I have a family history of addiction. My mom was an addict.
Okay.
My grandfather was an addict on my mother's side, and I lost my very best friend in the world to this addiction. 6 years ago. The coroner's office came to my door at 3 a.m. and knocked on the door and said, do you know this person? And I said, yes, I do. And they simply very coldly said, well, he's dead.
Oh, my goodness.
And we need you to call his parents.
Oh, my goodness. What were the emotions going through you when you hear that?
Well, I burst out in tears, and then I was numb for about a week and a half. I didn't leave my room. I didn't eat. I didn't sleep. I didn't do anything. But I knew at that point there was nothing else I could do but this.
Yeah. Wow. I had no idea. That's amazing. So
I don't know what's worse, losing someone when you're not an addict yourself and understand what they went through and how they lost their life, or being on the outside of it all and having no idea.
Yeah.
I gotta wonder what that's like. I've lost plenty of people myself, and it sucks. It fucking sucks.
It does.
It hurts, but yeah, it's interesting to hear other people talk about it. Yeah, the other side.
Yeah. So had you had any insights? I know that you had family members that were addicts, but before this friend passing, this was your first loss in addiction, right?
Well, my mom would have been my first loss,
okay.
but yeah, he was one of the biggest.
What was it like, hearing that news and then knowing that inside you you're gonna go do this, you're gonna make it a point to make this loss count and make it not be in vain? And what were your next steps from there? Like what did you do next?
It was going to going to school, getting the degree, and getting the state licensing and doing all those steps. But in my mind, and you've seen me do this, Saul, every company you work for makes you wear this silly name tag with your ridiculous picture on it. It's right from the DMV.
Right.
And I take it off and I say, I don't do it for this. And I take the name tag off and I say, I do it for this. And I put my hand on my heart because I have to help other people, whether I get paid for it or not.
Yeah, well, it bleeds through to the rest of us because that passion, that love that you have for those struggling with this disease, we see it. You can tell when somebody's just doing a job and they're just there for the paycheck, and you were not there for the paycheck. I mean, literally stayed night after night, late nights, that not getting paid, just staying there just for us. I mean, multiple times for myself, but I saw you do it for others as well. And, you can see that passion. You also taught some courses while you were there. You taught life skills. And what was the other thing? It was, what was that book that you were always reading out of?
Oh, the Embracing Change book?
Change.
Yeah,
Embracing Change.
Great book.
So Elizabeth took this book that was boring and she made it exciting. You made it exciting. It made me want to go to these groups, and you made it personal. And how did you come about making it so tolerable and such a great way to learn? What did you do to be different?
Well, I think it's about the approach. I think that anybody can read a book.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're right.
So anybody can read a book. So I'm not going to sit there and hold a book and read paragraph by paragraph.
Right.
I need to know how that information affects you and how you've seen it affect you.
Right.
So I'm going to talk to you about it. I'm going to throw a joke in there occasionally.
Yeah.
When you weren't helping me with the jokes, throwing me the punchline, Saul.
You set them up, I knock them down.
That's absolutely what happened. But you have to get people connected and engaged, or they're just going to fall asleep or walk away.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. Hoodie, what's been your experience? Because you've gone through some of these kind of groups and stuff, and have you seen the differences in instructors from one way to the other?
Yeah, for sure. But like I said in another episode, I myself didn't get much work done in those rooms. It was more just like a hangout spot. It was mostly done with my therapist. Yeah. But it absolutely has a lot to do with, and you can tell the people that care that are sitting up there teaching the classes. Yeah. They put a video on and then give you a piece of paper to fill out. Right. And that's their job. Then those are ones that they're I guess to get paid, even though they really don't pay that well. Yeah. They need to pay more, in my opinion.
They absolutely need to pay more.
And then there's the people like her that you can tell care.
Yeah. you made it for me. I would even make jokes about working embracing change as the word into some of my things when I'd stand up at town hall and stuff and talk some mornings, and I would try to work the words embracing change in, because we all couldn't stand that book. But the class and the group itself was wonderful because you were teaching it, and I loved it. It was one of my favorite. I appreciate that.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
So, you're working at a different treatment center now. Obviously,
I am.
The beautiful one we were at is no longer, which kills me inside. What kind of differences, if you don't mind talking about, what are the differences in what you do now as opposed to what you did before?
Well, where Solutions was a 30, 60, 90-day treatment program, and you either came in and paid an exorbitant amount of money,
yes,
or you had a great insurance plan that covered it.
Yeah.
I now work with people who either don't have insurance or don't have a roof over their head, or have the state-funded insurance that covers a day and a half to 3 days of treatment.
That is.
Who seems to be more grateful for the help?
Oh yeah, I didn't. Even
Oh, that's a great question.
Yeah.
It depends on the day, honestly, and it depends on the client.
Sure.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Because you get entitled ones in both areas.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I noticed. In some of the expensive places, I've seen clients come in that are like cash pay. I mean,
private
you've seen
pay,
it too, and tend to be the
they
ones
think
that
they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. And then you get ones that, like I was blessed with the insurance, I got that, and I would say I'm trying to squeeze every little bit out of this once I had my head on straight,
Right.
And then I can't imagine. I have friends that are out here actually that I was trying to get into the state funded place recently. I'm sure you remember Travis Hart, right? He called me up recently. He said, I need treatment. I need, coming off of heroin, benzos, all the works per usual. And so I started calling around. I called that place, and they had a bed for him ready right then. I get a bed, which is a miracle in itself, And so they get a bed for him right then, mainly because I spoke with like Alex. And so they get a bed for him right then, and I call him back. I said, dude, I got it. Here's the address. Go right here. They got a bed for you today. He calls me back. He says, I can't go for 2 weeks.
Oh,
it's like, dude, you know what I mean? And it's I imagine you get a lot of that kind of stuff. And so what do you do? I know what you did for me personally when I was offered treatment and then didn't take it, but what would your advice be for somebody who's maybe even afraid to say, like, I am an addict, or because of that stigma that we talk about, but needs to go seek treatment? What would you say to somebody like that?
I would say there's no better time than now, because you don't know if tomorrow you're going to have a chance to do it.
Absolutely. And not even just a chance, like with the bed, to be able to get into bed, but a chance with our lives. When we go back out, I mean, for me personally, it has escalated every time I've gone back out. It progresses, And I said I'd never smoke meth. I've smoked meth for a lot. I said I would never do heroin. I smoked heroin the last time I went out. Yeah. It progresses. Luckily, I've been blessed to not die when I've gone out. The concoction of drugs I used the last time, there's no reason I'm alive, except for pure miracle. And so, I did survive, and I come back. But the good thing I've noticed too is just like the disease progresses, so does the rehabilitation. I didn't lose any of the teachings that I got, anything that you taught in Embracing Change. I still have that in here and in here. It's just specifically that book. But I think you're absolutely right. It's like don't wait, go now.
Don't wait.
I noticed, like our thing that we kind of do here, our mission statement is to remove the stigma off of addiction. Do you have any theories or any idea of what you would put in place to kind of remove that stigma?
Education.
Yes.
You can't just educate the addict. You have to educate the people around him.
Yes. Thank you.
I agree with that 100%.
People don't understand. Yes. They don't understand what they don't understand.
Absolutely. And people get afraid of what they don't understand. Yes. That's, when we don't understand something, personally, I get afraid of what I don't know. And I think educating ourselves on how the disease works is great and wonderful. But like family members of those who are going through this, my family members have researched all kinds of this stuff. They went through the recovery with me. My family members researched it. I know when I was married, my wife went to some Al-Anon things, to try to get to know what I was going through. My sisters, one of them's a guidance counselor. She's researched in depth about recovery. My other sister, she's gone through therapy herself, and so she she's been able to talk to me about therapy, and we can go back and forth with that. I think educating my family as well as educating me made a huge difference in my recovery, and educating the public is a must.
Key. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So what about what is the can you give us a little silly story from working in treatment center? What's something silly you've seen happen in there?
I was in my office and they brought a client to me and said, "You need to be careful because he's a little bit different."
Yeah.
And I said, "Okay, what's different?" And they said, "Well, when we brought him in, he had pockets full of sticks and rocks.
Ooh.
And he wanted all the sticks and rocks inventoried by size, by color,
obviously.
and by shape."
Yeah, as one would.
And he said he needed to have it all written down and written out. And he proceeded to walk into my office, and he set a rock on my desk, and he said, "You have now been blessed. I am Jesus Christ, and I have blessed this rock."
Well, you had the Lord and Savior in
Saul, I didn't know you were this far gone when you went in, man.
So
what did you do?
Well, they made sure somebody was with me, and quite honestly, we made sure he had a higher level of care.
Yeah.
He was not appropriate for treatment. So that was an extreme.
Yeah.
As far as silly, I think that'd be you, man. I think you're the mascot for silly.
100%.
Yeah.
What are you talking about there? Silly, huh? Are you coming on that book you've been working on, yeah?
There were many groups where he would break Stewie out and get him.
Some friends become enemies, some enemies become friends, and they make characters better for conspiracy. No, you deserve a break.
And that's why he got kicked out.
Me and Seth MacFarlane, baby, just doing the Stewie stuff.
There you go.
Yeah, so okay, that's a silly thing. Now, you've actually dealt with some dangerous stuff as a case manager, right? I remember a client getting physical or something like that.
Well, he didn't get physical because the gentleman on our staff didn't let him.
That's right.
I will say that is the one good thing that I've been able to do. I can pick up a phone pretty quick.
Yeah.
But there have been incidents where people have either pulled out weapons or they have gotten somebody cornered to the point where corporate would come in and say, "Okay, you have to have your desk at a certain angle because you have to be able to get to the door before the patient can get to the door."
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What goes through your head when you hear that?
It's scary.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
It's scary.
How do you get up? I mean, I know you have a passion to do this, right? But how do you get up each morning knowing that I could be coming to work and be put in a dangerous spot, or I could be coming into work dealing with something silly and fun? Like, you don't know what's coming at you each day. So what do you do to prepare yourself?
I'm about to give you a Pollyanna answer, but it's the absolute truth.
Yeah.
It is because I know there's a possibility if I don't go to work today that somebody's not going to have what they need.
Yeah, and that's the absolute truth. You know, honestly, the work that you do is so important, Elizabeth, so important. I mean, like I said, one thing, and this is a smaller thing for me compared to what else you've done for me, but keeping my job. You made sure that I kept my job. You made sure that my school knew that, hey, I wasn't going to be able to come in. You made sure that my work knew, hey, he's not going to be able to come in, but when he does come in, I'm going to be sending you somebody who can do the job well and who's rehabilitated and can contribute to your business. And my job held my position for 7 months because of you.
Crazy.
Dude, it's ridiculous.
Not that many jobs make it that easy, and yours didn't make it that easy. As you remember, we had to file stack after stack after stack of paperwork.
Yes.
So I think that's one of the other problems is that employers aren't willing to understand, and they're saying, well, you should just be able to quit.
Right.
It's a matter of willpower, and you should just be able to stop.
Yeah.
Right.
That's such bullcrap.
Why didn't I think of that?
Yeah. Oh, just stop? Yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah. You know, and I don't get too, I used to get angry at that because people really do believe, why can't you just stop? And this is one thing why on just about every episode, and I'm going to do it on this one too, because it has to be pounded into people's minds, is that the willpower, and it's just people aren't educated on this enough, but the willpower, the willingness to stop, our characteristics, our morals, that all comes from our prefrontal cortex. The disease comes from our midbrain, and that midbrain is where all your fight, flight, freeze, or fuck comes from. That's where your instincts are, your hunger for food, your cravings for food, and it's normal to crave food. It's not normal to crave heroin, you know. but that's where the disease comes from, and it's a disease of making choices, and so people think that we're making these choices, just make choices to stop. But the willingness and the willpower comes from a different part of the brain, and that part of the brain works 7 times slower. So if the public understood this, if they really believed it too, then I think it would be just a different perception on the stigma could be taken off.
It would change everything.
It would change everything.
Should we give the example from the great doctor?
Yes, would you?
Willpower?
Willpower.
You want us to prove it's not about willpower?
How do I prove it?
Make your heart stop right now, Saul.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Make your heart stop.
I want to prove you wrong, right? Mm-hmm. I want to prove you wrong, so why can't I just will myself to stop my heart for just 3 seconds, right?
Yeah.
You can't, because the part of your brain that pumps your heart is the midbrain, the part of your brain that has willpower, your prefrontal cortex, and they're separate, and it's impossible.
That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works.
That's Hoodie's classic line. It's so true. It's so true. So what, do you have any ideas on how to go about educating the general public? Because it's not that easy. It's not, I've thought about maybe having a course in schools, because it's such an epidemic. Instead of a DARE course, or a course that, don't dare to not do drugs or whatever, how about a course that actually educates us on where the disease comes from and that, but that we'd need funding and stuff. That's why I say, get out there and vote.
Well, they used to do the fucking DARE classes when we were kids.
Why can't they do this?
Right. Or something.
There's too much money in it.
Yeah. Asking too much.
Right?
Of course, it's just millions of Americans dying.
It's just human lives,
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I'm going to get on the big pharma soapbox. There's too much money involved.
You and Hoodie both. You love that.
Don't get me started on big pharma.
What were you going to say about big pharma?
Big pharma, there's just too much money in either, fentanyl patches for pain management, or pain management doctors, and doctor shopping. Don't get me started. My God.
Right.
There's just too much money involved.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I was a pro at doctor shopping. I would take old bottles, right? This is before they had those systems now where they can kind of track it a little. But I would take an old bottle when they had Vicodin. They don't make it anymore. The 500 milligrams of acetaminophen, 5 milligrams of hydrocodone. I'd take a bottle of 120 that was empty. I'd save it from 3 months before, and I'd go to an urgent care and I'd say, hey, I can't get in to see my doctor this month. Will you fill it? They'd fill it once. I'd take that same empty bottle to another urgent care. I'd do the same thing. I'd do it all 3, and then I would take either Klonopin, Ativan, Xanax. I would take the different ones around to each one too. I'd get all these pills, and it was so available, and so I can see it on your face. You're like, you're kidding me. But that's what I would do, and it was so easy. And I have friends. My buddy Mikey Hall came on here. He said, we were in group one time actually at Hope by the Sea, and he says, he goes, people were going around talking about how they'd injured themselves to go to the hospital and get pills. And Mikey says he pulled out a gun one time and shot himself in the foot to go to the hospital. Now, I don't know if you know this, when you go to the hospital.
That's commitment.
That's commitment. But that's what we got to do to feed this thing, And nothing else matters. If you're going through that withdrawal, you will literally shoot your foot off to get more medicine.
That's pretty serious.
And what did they give him at the hospital? 15 pills. Yeah.
Wow.
Meanwhile, I'm over here.
Doing it right.
Doing it, not hurting myself at all. You can't do that anymore. They've locked down on that, thank the Lord, because that's dangerous. People are overdosing, and now they can track all that.
You're an entrepreneurial little guy, aren't you?
Right?
I don't think that's as big of a problem as doctors overprescribing and misprescribing.
That's
Absolutely.
true.
In my opinion.
That was one of the great things about Solutions, Elizabeth, is they had education on what medications we were taking and how they affected us. Dr. Horn used to give those. I'd call him all the time, by the way. I'm still in contact with Dr. Horn. He's a great,
wow.
Can't tell if this is a good or a bad thing.
He's a bit of he's an odd cat, but he also is brilliant when it comes to medications. He's old school but brilliant. Yes. And he would educate us on it once a week. He'd come in there and yeah. So do you have any advice for people thinking about getting into the field, into becoming like a case manager or clinician or anything, working in the industry at all?
If you're doing it for the passion, then do it. Mm-hmm. If you're doing it for the money, it's not about money. Yeah. That's the wrong way to do it. Brian's right. We don't get paid enough, but I don't do it for the money. So I don't want you to pay me less, certainly. Right. I'm not giving up my paycheck, but yeah. But you do it for the passion. Yeah. That's important. And it shows, like I said before, we can tell when somebody's just there
to just work, and somebody's there because they care. Yeah. And I think Dave Marlin talked a little bit about going through a treatment center where he found out that the clinicians or whoever was leading these groups turned out to be a little bit like frauds, and he was pissed. He was like, if you're not real, then what's real with this, you know? So we see that, and it, like I said before, I mean, the passion that you have, it changed my life. It really did.
Well, thank you. You changed mine too, actually. You and some of the other people you've had on the show that I've dealt with directly.
Yeah.
One who we're going to hear from shortly, but
yes, little Brittany over
there. Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And it makes those difficult days where you're getting the blessed rocks or the cussed at or
blessed rocks. You know? Hey, where I come from, there's a totally different meaning for blessed rocks.
Yeah, crack rocks. Huh?
It makes those days where you get the tough stuff, the one that left that you beg not to leave, or the one that unfortunately that we lose, because those are the hard phone calls.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Somebody like you comes in and does 185,000 days in treatment.
You're welcome.
Makes it much easier, and seeing you do this is amazing.
Thank you. You know, I appreciate that. I enjoy doing this. It's literally what makes me get out of bed in the morning. I love doing this podcast, and I'm so happy that you came on. I'm happy I got to see you out here.
Me too.
It made my day. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Do you have any burning desires? Anything else you'd like to share?
If you're thinking about it, just come into treatment.
Absolutely.
Just put it down and stay.
Yes.
That's the other problem.
Yeah.
I got to get out there to my family. I got to get back to my kid. I got to get back to my wife.
Right.
Well, if you don't get through treatment, you're not going to get back to them.
You're not going to be any good to them, even if you do.
Yeah. Absolutely. The first time I tried to go, I don't know if you know this, I went to Desert Hope for 3 days in 2013. And I left there because I said, I need to get back to work, you know?
Yeah, they definitely needed you in the back of their trucks.
I had to get back to work. And I was doing a lot of drugs. So I
really? Shocking.
So I shouldn't have been doing that. But that was my excuse. I got to get back to work. And my ex-wife drove 5 hours here, picked me up right after working a whole shift, drove back, and the minute I didn't realize that the Subutex was keeping me from going through withdrawal. So on our way back home, I started withdrawing already, and I was like, "Oh my God, I made a mistake." So absolutely stay, push through. The main thing is once you get past those first 7 days, for me, after the 7 days, it was like, okay, I can tolerate this. I can figure things out from here. You know, and I was able to stay. It was easier to stay, at least.
Yeah.
If you can get through 7 days and the bologna sandwiches, you're good.
Yeah. What about you, Hoodie?
What about me?
What advice would you have for somebody thinking about going into treatment but afraid to come out and say, look, you know, I'm an addict or I'm an alcoholic?
If you guys are listening, I mean, and have been listening, you've kind of heard it over, time and time again, exactly what you guys just said. I mean, what do you have to lose?
Right.
But look at what you do have to lose if you don't come in.
Yeah.
You know.
Everything.
Your life included. Yeah. I mean.
Well, thank you. Thank you both. Thank you, Joel, my audio engineer over there. Thank you, man.
Thank you, Saul.
You're doing a dominant job as always. I love you to help.
Doing what I can to help.
Love the hell out of you. And Elizabeth, thank you for coming on.
Absolutely.
We're going to have Brittany come on here in a second. And Hoodie, my co-host, Brian Hoodie.
It's me.
Don't call him Sweatshirt. And Agent Papa's going to play us out here. Thank you for listening. We will see you next week.
Hey, little Sammy, what you got in that sack? You're looking tough, like you ain't coming back. Hey, little Sammy, where are you going to fly? Times are rough, people get tough, but you got the stuff, I know you'll get by.